All right, you guys, welcome to another shared news update from home. As always, I'm Fiona Zaring, and today I am with Miss Joslyn Davis.
Hello, glad to be here from also my home.
We are going to be talking about Selena Gomez just revealed some really interesting news. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates from home. Okay, so some big news. Selena Gomez just shared with fans that she is bipolar, and she opened up about it on Miley Cyrus's Instagram live show, which is called Bright Minded Live.
Bright-minded, yes.
Bright-minded. I'm obsessed with her show. She is getting some crazy huge interviews.
I feel like next she's going to have Barack Obama on the show or something because her
Seriously,
lineup is incredible.
and she's talking about what I love is she's having such meaningful conversations. She asked Selena what her advice was for people who are afraid to discuss mental health and where she would direct them. And Selena said, I'm going to read this. She said, quote, recently, I went to one of the best mental hospitals, McLean Hospital, and I discussed that after years of going through a lot of different things, I realized that I was bipolar. And so when I got to know more information, it actually helps me. It doesn't scare me once I know it, and I think people get scared of that. So she just dropped it right out there. She said she was bipolar, and she really offered people a lot of advice. What did you think about her revelation?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, as someone who's been following the life and career and journey of Selena Gomez for basically since she's been on the scene for the last 10 years or so, and just seeing her go through so many public health struggles, even most recently, all of her medical issues that she's had, I think it's amazing that she has really taken the power into her own hands and that
Mm-hmm.
she chose to share this story on her own terms and in her own personal time. Because let's think about it, she very well, very easily could have shared this story with one of the biggest publications in the world. Anyone would have loved to have shared this story. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that she decided to share it with Miley Cyrus on Instagram, I think is very telling. But I think the main takeaway from this is that it's so powerful that she's at a place where she feels comfortable sharing what she's going through, especially when we're talking about mental health, which unfortunately is still really taboo for a lot of people, and it should
Mm-hmm.
not be. She is going to make such huge sweeping changes in the lives of so many people. I'm sure there are people who are at home tonight with their parents who are able to say something like, hey, did you hear about what happened to Selena Gomez or what she revealed today? And that could open up a conversation for a whole family and even for a whole generation. So I think it's really incredible.
I totally agree. I thought it was really amazing. It felt like such a personal moment. Obviously, Selena and Miley have shared so many fans over the years. I think there's a
Mhm.
huge overlap there. And to do it on Instagram Live, which feels like such a real, candid, raw conversation just between Miley and her fans, you're totally right. She could have revealed this on the cover of Vogue, and she did.
Mhm.
She did it this way. She also shared what I think is really interesting is I think Selena over the last year has talked a lot about how it's been a journey. Like she's putting the pieces together and learning things about herself that have always been there and finally understanding them. One of the things she shared is that when she was a kid, she was afraid of thunderstorms, and her mom helped her get over that fear by educating her. She gave her books, she gave her things to look up, she explained what a thunderstorm is, and that took the power out of it. One of the things Selena said is you're going to be afraid of something the more you don't understand it. So educating herself is really helpful. That was one of her main pieces of advice. And it was so wise and so powerful. And I think so many people out there might be looking into things and
Mhm.
helping get over their fears that way, which is really great.
No, I totally agree. I think there is so much fear in the unknown, and the whole concept of knowledge being power is not just a Pinterest quote. It's actually a real life truth, and she is living proof of that. I also really loved when she talked about how she turns to women that are older than her, that she really
Yes.
uses communication as a tactic to work through whatever it is that she's going through, and that she has these women who are a little bit older, maybe a little bit further in their own personal journeys, and the perfect people for her to be able to open up to. And she also mentioned that they're not even people who are in this entertainment business. So
Yeah, I
she's really
loved
bouncing
that.
her ideas off of people who are living different lives. But
Hmm.
when it comes to the issues that she has opened up about, they're really universal. I mean, there are things that people all over the world in all different backgrounds, not just entertainment, are dealing with. But I
Hmm.
love that she's using her platform this way.
I do too, and I think what she does really an impressive job of is she doesn't just talk about things lightly and not provide real education. Like she dropped sort of a bomb on people didn't know that she was going through this,
Hmm.
but she took this moment when she revealed that to also offer a lot of education, and I think that that's really using her platform in the best way possible. She also shared she thinks it's really powerful to talk it out with anybody, your friends, your family. Just make sure if you have something on your mind to talk it out. She said sometimes you just have to let yourself feel, which I thought was really, really wise. Sometimes you can't avoid the problem, you just have to face it. And one of my favorite things she said, because I always think this is so true, being there for the people you care about is also a form of self-care. It'll make you feel
Hmm.
good to take care of the people that you love, which I thought was really, really sweet.
And
Let's
I also loved what we've been reading just across the line in so many different press outlets about an interview that she did with Wall Street Journal really recently, just in January, where she kind of opened up a little bit, but definitely not nearly as much. And she said to Wall Street Journal, my highs were really high and my lows would take me out for weeks at a time. I found out I do suffer from mental health issues. I got on the right medication and my life has been completely changed. I also think that her talking specifically about the fact that, like, yes, I do take medication and
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is helping me. That's yet another thing that a lot of people think is taboo that I think
Mm-hmm.
is just, I mean, personally, in my own opinion, ridiculous. I think people have to take the steps that they need to personally to get well. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that she's been just so candid, but quite frankly, she was way less candid to the Wall Street Journal than she was with Miley Cyrus from the comfort of both of their own homes. And it
Yeah.
just felt so authentic.
And I think, yeah, I totally agree. I think it was authentic. And I think that every step she takes is hopefully helping to destigmatize mental health, therapy, medication, any of the facets that come with it. If she can just
Hmm.
help one person look at it from a different light and with her audience, like it's so much more than one person, then it's such a positive thing. Let's see what some people are saying in the chat. Let's
I
see.
love it. Let's do it.
J Job said, did she reveal that she's taking medication for it? She did. I don't know that they talked about it on Miley's live, but
Hmm.
she has talked about in the past. Let's see. Mufasa Khan said, I love how vulnerable she's becoming. I agree, right? It's one of, I think, the most powerful things is
Hmm.
how vulnerable she is.
And another thing she said during the chat was that she knows herself now. She's 27. She is definitely a grown woman at this point. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people who have seen her grow up have trouble understanding that she is like a grown up woman. She is not that child on Wizards of Waverly Place anymore, but that
Mm-hmm.
she knows she's an empath, which basically means she takes on a lot of the emotions that she senses from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that also is a great thing to know so that she can maybe know when to cut things off, when she's taking on too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was another really, really great point.
Absolutely. I think she continues to educate people on how much work she put in. She doesn't just say like, "Oh, I've struggled with mental health." She's like, "No, I discovered this about myself. I went through this, that I did all of these steps to get to where I am as an adult." And it's not just going to happen overnight. You have to be willing to put in the work. Um,
Definitely.
let's see. Heidi Truelove said, I love Selena. She seems so normal and down to earth. I couldn't agree more. Every time Selena does anything, she seems like she's being so authentically herself. I don't know if you saw, she did a whole tutorial on how to wash your hands. And even that was like just she's sharing things that people might need to hear.
I mean, she's literally one of the most famous people, arguably, on the planet. And prior to this quarantine life, I think the week leading up, she was at Target and Chipotle. And if that's not relatable and down to earth, I honestly don't know what is. You
I
know?
know, right? And she was clearly a fan of The Bachelor because she hung out with Maddie. I mean,
Exactly.
she was probably playing games, drinking wine, watching The Bachelor, preparing for this unknown quarantine, just like the rest of us.
Just like us.
Let's see if there's anything else anyone is saying. Gotta refresh.
Some people are actually asking a little bit about her previous health issues. As we know, she did have a kidney transplant from one of her best friends, Francia Rice. That was, gosh, probably in the last 2 years. And she has also opened up in the past about being diagnosed with lupus. So a handful of people are asking about that in the chat as well. And I believe that was several years ago now that she opened up about that.
Yeah, I feel like we've known about the lupus for a while. I think that when she talked about the lupus for the first time, I think that was before the kidney transplant, right? It
Yeah,
was
because
sort
that's
of
an
lupus
autoimmune
first.
disorder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they may be linked. I'm not a medical professional,
I
but
know.
lupus is an autoimmune disorder. And so I don't think it is that uncommon that some of your organs do see some sort of suffering as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm not WebMD, so don't believe everything I say.
You don't have a medical degree too, Joss? That's so weird.
Absolutely not. No.
Basically, I think just the moral of the story is Selena is super strong. She is a survivor. She fights to take care of herself, and she always encourages her fans to do the same, which is probably the best thing you could expect from someone with the audience that she has.
I definitely agree. I think so many people use their platforms in different ways. And we have seen from her, not just now, but over the years. I think the first time I ever interviewed Selena was at some sort of charity concert. And she's also very well known for at meet and greets or fan events, literally taking the time to really connect with each and every person and share a special moment with them. And I think those are qualities that totally transcend celebrity. So I'm a big fan. I love her to death.
I know, huge fan. And I also think that this won't be the last time she talks about it, right? I mean, she's opened up. She'll continue to open up. I'm sure in the coming weeks, we'll hear more. She doesn't shy away from interest in her story. So hopefully she'll continue to be vulnerable and continue to inspire fans and just, spread positivity. We could all use positivity during these interesting times.
Absolutely. And I also think it is worth noting that I think her generation of Disney stars who have now gone on to become really and truly like the biggest stars, the biggest superstars in the world, people, like Demi Lovato, for example, who opened up about her own struggles with bipolar disorder several years ago. I think that the more that people talk about these issues, the more that it's just going to normalize the conversation. And I think it's going to improve the overall mental health of this entire planet.
Absolutely. That sort of age group grew up and stayed super famous. So
Definitely.
they had to do a lot of stuff in front of a lot of eyeballs. And I can't express enough how impressive I find it. Mary just said she's incredibly brave, strong, and inspirational. That definitely sums it up, Mary. Very well said. If you guys have any final questions, please send them our way. We'll try to get to as many as we can. In the meantime, what did you think of her new album, Joslyn?
Oh my gosh.
From mental health to music.
Yeah, but music can be very therapeutic as well. I definitely have been listening to a lot of music during this lockdown quarantine time at home. And I'm such a fan of Selena's music. I mean, I've loved her music since she was a kid. It's always been a really great reflection of who she is. And I think when you listen to her music now as a grown woman, it still has that fun, upbeat vibe. It still has positivity and like just this genuine authenticity to it. But I also love that she has really taken her own power into her own hands And you really get that now with her
Mm-hmm.
music. And I mean, everyone she works with, all the producers she works with are fantastic and songwriters. So, and I like a song that like kind of gets me going. And I think she is really, I'm still listening to like Stars Dance when I jog.
Yes.
So, and that came out like 10 years ago or something. So
Stars
I'm a fan.
Dance.
Yes.
What a good one. Yeah, we love Rare. I listened to it, I think, probably on repeat for the first like 3 weeks after it came out. And I always love, if you guys go back and watch all the interviews she did about the album, not just from when she was promoting it, from years leading up to it, because she was not releasing this until she felt she was ready. And I love listening to her talk about that, because I think it just really shows how much ownership, especially in this album, she's taking with her music and everything she does. She does not want to put her name on something unless she fully believes in it, which is so incredible.
I mean, she absolutely doesn't need to at this point. I think she's proven herself so much over the years. Not that anyone should ever feel like they need to do something they're not comfortable with, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why people trust her even more, because she is very open about the fact that she is not going to put something out there unless it is a reflection of who she is and
Mm-hmm.
where she's at in her life right now. One more thing I was thinking that's kind of like a little off topic from her music, but another thing that I really think is cool about her is that she has this really tight knit group of girlfriends, and like none of them are celebrities or
Mm-hmm.
in the entertainment world. And she's also reportedly moved out of Los Angeles and lives in Orange County and Newport Beach. So I just think that she's like living in the best of both worlds, where she can have this amazing impact on the world while also living a pretty normal life. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
the kind of life you want.
Absolutely. I think in the past few years, she's really come to put privacy first. Not that she wasn't putting it first before, but I think she set boundaries for herself. I think she's taking steps to say, like, this is mine and this is what I'm willing to share with the world. And I think that that's going to be so beneficial to her in the long term. I think that growing up in front of the camera and having so much eyes on you and so many pressures that a lot of young people don't have to go through, it totally makes sense that she's at this stage in the game, like being really open and honest about what she cares about and keeping the rest of it, the fun stuff, to herself. She takes long exits from social media. She will disappear, and she doesn't really offer a huge apology or a huge, explanation. It's just, hey, I needed some time. I'll see you guys later,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Because
love.
she does share a lot. She shares
Yeah.
a lot, but you don't have to share everything to share a lot, you
No.
know? And I think that's something that all of us are just going to continue learning, because this world of living online and living on social media is still relatively new, even though all
Mm-hmm.
of us are so entrenched in it. There is a way to connect with your fans, connect with the world in a very honest way, without feeling like you have to do it constantly, and without maybe oversharing, which is also okay if you want to. But it's not necessarily necessary constantly.
No. Bringing it all the way back to our original topic, how she revealed this news. What are your final thoughts on Selena sharing this mental health update with fans and how she did it? And what do you think is coming next?
You know, I think her future is really bright. I think Selena will do whatever it is that she wants to do. And she is someone who has stepped behind the scenes as well and is producing a ton of projects like 13 Reasons Why, which 100% is one of the most impactful things that has come onto television or onto any streaming platform in the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, with the rest of her career, I think it's kind of like see it, dream it, believe it. What she wants to do, she will. And I really actually believe that. And more than anything, just as someone who is genuinely a fan and I feel invested in her happiness and well being, I think she seems like she's at an amazing place where she is very educated about what's going on from the inside out. And she seems to be at this place where, you know, the future is very bright for her on all levels. And I'm really glad and grateful that she shared this information, because like I said when we first started, I think she is going to have a massive impact on so many people's lives.
I couldn't agree more. To shout out one more person from the chat, Kenya just said she's so brave and she's the best. I totally agree. I think we're all excited to see what's coming next in her career. And I think the future, like Joslyn said, is going to be so bright for her in terms of her own personal health and well-being. Hopefully, we'll continue to get some updates as she feels like sharing them. And everyone out there, make sure you're putting yourselves and your health first during these crazy times. I think that does it for this shared news from home live stream. As always, if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Leave us a comment with what you'd love to see us talk about next, and make sure you ring the bell so you don't miss any notifications. I think that does it for me. I'm Fiona Zaring.
I'm Joslyn Davis. Thanks for watching,
I will
guys.
see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.